Good morning, world. This is Steve Rao, the host of Pod and Roku TV's edition. Sorry, I'm not in my normal attire of a suit and tie. Getting later starts to my day as I am campaigning about 70 hours a week to be our next Wake County Commissioner, and it's been crazy getting back at 11 o'clock every night. But I wanted to open up today with just a few words as I'm here for a few minutes today. Um, First of all, a very, very interesting time in the world. American officials arrived in Russia today to discuss a proposal to end the war in Ukraine. America and Ukraine agreed to the idea of a 30-day ceasefire during talks in Saudi Arabia. President Trump said he would respond to the European Union's decision to introduce $28 billion of tariffs on American imports, but he didn't say how. The EU's move came in response to America's 25% levy on all steel and aluminum entering the country. And Canada has also introduced $21 billion worth of retaliatory tariffs. So the trade wars are on. What will this mean for American consumers, our prices of our products? Will it mean that inflation will go up? And all economists are pointing towards a possible recession. So, as Jennifer Garner says on her commercials, watch your wallet and also your job. Many, many federal jobs being cut because of the federal cuts taking place. And even in our home state of North Carolina, the Speaker of the House, Destin Hall, says that he does intend to bring Doge to North Carolina. So it's got all people. And Governor Stein delivered his first State of the State address. We'll be listening to later today. I had an event. But it's a turbulent time in the world, and we're going to bring on Mark Lee to talk about these and other issues as we are in a very, very interesting time in our nation and world history. That's my recap, kind of like what's going on in the world today on World Edition, and of course, American politics, which I may not be able to make tonight.
Well, if you can make it, I know you're busy campaigning, and definitely folks are wishing you well, even here on the network, as you're trying to work on getting that seat in the county commissioner's office and all along.
Well, I'm hearing good things. I mean, there's 2 seats, and Jonathan Melton from Raleigh is running. He's been very supportive of me, he and I serving together. We're going to run our own campaigns, but I think that he represents 800,000 people out of 1 million people. And this is it. This is the 2-point conversion. I'm excited, and I think I got nothing to lose. I'm either going to win or I'm going to have more time to do media. So it's got me really relaxed, and I'm swinging for the fences. And I got a lot of people thinking, I'm more relaxed than usual, and I'm going to give it my all, and we'll see where it goes. But I like my chances of hearing good things, so we'll see.
Yeah, speaking of that, you talked about the tariffs, and apparently Trump did threaten 200% retaliatory tariffs on European wines and other alcohol. So if folks are thinking that they're going to have some of that French wine or something like that, there might be some serious tariffs, and some of those prices may be going up. And that was after the EU proposed that American whiskey tariff. I did see an article yesterday where he was even I think greeting one of the Irish leaders and everything. And apparently J.D. Vance had some shamrock socks on, because that was something that even Trump pointed out, that he was wearing those socks to, I guess, honor the Irish population, since St. Patrick's Day is coming up and everything like that. But he also said that he might even be levying some tariffs on the Irish people as well. So definitely looks like this tariff war is heating up, and it's not just Mexico, Canada, but now it's also going into Europe and everything else. So are you ready for higher bills and everything? Because I know that, like myself, you might get a spirit here and there, and these spirits may be going up in price.
I think we need to be prepared for everything going up in price. And, like for me, I got a look, a payment, for work and dividend payments and stuff. But even for me, my advice to anybody out there is I haven't been as good about saving my money recently because I've been doing pretty well and I've been enjoying the finer things in life. But do what you can to start parking that money away somewhere and try to be more frugal. It's tempting to go out to eat every day, but it does add up and prices are really going up all across the board. I think this plays well in the Democrats' hands in terms of, would they be able to now, if we are in a recession, it's going to give them a chance to say, put us back in the House or the Senate.
Yeah, well, we've also got Kim joining us, and she's joining us from CERAWeek. So I see that she's over there doing stuff over there in Houston with the oil and energy people and all along those lines. So what's going on in Houston, Texas? I believe that's where it's at, and I know you've got family there as well. But how is it going, and what are the folks there saying about the tariffs? Because the energy sector is definitely impacted. So what are folks in that area saying about the tariffs from what you're hearing at CERAWeek?
Well, this is the gas, oil, and energy conference of the year. Every year, all the world leaders gather here every year. We've had, some of the biggest leaders of other countries attend. Usually the presidents of our country don't attend, but senators, governors. The newly appointed Secretary of Energy was here the first day. One of the things I've felt is like, that's not usually a topic that we really go into here with oil, gas, and energy. Usually it's all the new and up and coming things. This is the new and up and coming thing, is the chaos and disturbance that America is going through. I've met with Canada. I got to go over. In fact, I got a pen from there just so everybody knows I'm Canadian friendly, and don't shoot me. But yeah, it's different this year. I've noticed a lot of people seem to be walking on glass about what they say. They don't want to, upset anyone that might hurt their negotiations, but at the same time, they're saying they really don't want to do business with Americans right now. And that's the message that I got in several sessions, when actually point blank, a journalist asked, with the new president going on and all the crazy tariffs and everything flip-flopping, what is your interest with all the new stuff that you got going on and you're building and you're doing great? What is your interest in doing business here? And this was, I think, Kuwait, but there were other countries too. And, they all politely dance around that question to go into, well, we're doing this, we're doing that, are going great, but we only want to do business. We're open, but we just want to do business with people who are focused on doing business and that are ethical. And that's, we're not. We clearly have a liar as a leader, and we're not. We're flip-flopping every day. Our economy's going, but I want to go on a positive note. So the big hot topic here, just so that people kind of know what to expect in the future and what to really invest in. Every year they kind of go into that, and Canada is highly invested in it, and actually they're ahead of the curve with everyone else because they've been doing this, is the mineral copper. Copper is the big need. They've been supplying it to Elon. He needs more and more, as always. So other countries are starting to mine for copper as well as lithium. Lithium has the big word. Actually, the big word this year, and I didn't say it, General Randall Reed did. He said the big word this year is uncertainty. Every room I go into, I hear that word countless times, and he took out his notebook, and I guess he's been counting it. But the word is uncertainty, and he left us with a beautiful thing to think about. He said, when you're making your decisions, especially as a leader, think about the impact it makes on human lives. And I thought that was very impactful. But folks, copper's the big message here. Everyone is preparing to mine more for copper. Other countries have oil. Their problem isn't oil. Our country, we have plenty of oil. I think that if we had to go independent without other countries, we'll be fine. None of the oil companies here are complaining about not having enough oil. So I don't know why this drill baby drill is going around as much as it has, because, you talk to Exxon, Chevron, some of the bigger companies than Exxon and Chevron, which, people can't believe that they do exist, but you've never heard of their names. They have plenty. They're pumping fine. There's not a problem. I think the only problem we have serving anyone is the military. I think uses 64 billion gallons of gas a day, which is a lot. But everyone here is focused. All the countries are 100% focused on investments, investing in their people, investing in their country and the resources that is good for their country, and they're all staying straight on that path to do what is in the best interest of their people and their country. And so the big investment right now is mining for copper, which, if I were to piece together a puzzle, explains why we closed our national parks, because they are rich in minerals and gas and oil. So who knows what's going to happen to all of that land. But I believe that, Trump kept his promise, and that's the word here. He got rid of the migrants like he said he would, because they were taking all of everyone's jobs. And I think his focus was all of these people can come work for him in the mines. Because, if you impact an economy with millions of job losses, and Steve, you do economy, I'm sure. Look at the economics. The first thing I was taught many years ago with layoffs is the impact millions and millions of people at one time can do to an economy, because people don't realize just because that person lost their job doesn't mean you're not going to, because for every person that loses their job in your community and just in that area, in the ripple effect, it impacts 7 people's jobs, because you have circulation.
I think this is where
you do 1 million people at one time. So one of the things as a big corporation, especially when you had a bunch of big corporations gathered together, one of the things that they were regulated on, believe it or not, was you couldn't have massive layoffs of one kind of type of thing, but even massive layoffs in general in an area. So they would kind of control it and say, keep it down to 10,000. Oh, you're going to do 5? Well, then maybe you should just do 5. So they would kind of control the layoffs a little bit. And so I think this has been very reckless. The economy is already shot. We're seeing, a spiral down of the stock market, probably the worst in history or in a long time. But our economy can't handle anymore. And if you keep letting go of people at this volume, then tomorrow, Steve, you might not have a job. Tomorrow, the person working behind the counter at the local restaurants might not have a job, because you're not circulating money in the economy anymore. It's all going to the rich people. So that's my message to the world today. CERAWeek by S&P Global. I want to correct people. We can't say that on the news without saying by S&P Global. And Agora Inspirations has grown. It's probably the biggest one I've been to yet. I will say this, when I first began coming here, there was just a few of us in media. And when I mean few, they had 2 closets that we could record in, and we rotated in there. It was like maybe 4 or 5 of us, and then maybe a handful of writers in the other room. Now there's probably about 300 journalists here. Everyone from Reuters, SNBC. I haven't seen Fox yet, but I walk around and introduce myself to most of them. And still see the first person I ever met here in media. He's still here doing oil, gas, and energy. But the Morocco is putting in pipelines. They have a big desert, as they said. The vice prime minister was here talking about it. And she's, said that they're also, very big in solar and windmills, but they want to go more into oil, because someone has convinced them that oil is cleaner. So they're starting to drill, put in pipelines. Kuwait has really scaled up in their oil production. as far as, they have a lot of partners. As far as partnering with America, I don't think that is on their plate this year. So, but they are pumping a lot. But I truly believe that the way we're going and the negotiations and relationships that we're, doing, I think that we'll be doing exactly what David Walker said we need to be doing, and that's becoming very independent. And I believe that that's what's going to happen. We're going to learn to become more independent and rely on our own resources.
Part of that,
That's Kimberly Calhoun reporting to you live in Houston, Texas, from CERAWeek by S&P Global.
Appreciate that and everything. Go ahead,
well, that's
Steve.
great. Yeah. Real quickly before we let others go, this is really great stuff, and I think that there's just this whole notion of an America First policy, and I think that's been in the short term. The president keeps saying that it's going to hurt, but we're going to get through it. I'm sensing a lot of fear with people, even in North Carolina, losing federal jobs. And the hardest thing is living without a paycheck. You can go a few weeks, and then all of a sudden you look at the end of the month. And then what happens is you get desperate. And so lately, I have a lot of connections. I help people get jobs. But what I tell people is you got to take a breath and ask what you want to do. Don't just tell me I'll take anything. I mean, because then you just don't, you get a job just to get a check, and then you get laid off there and you get another job. And then I had a year like that in my life where it was just, I lost my job. I only lost my job twice in my life. And it was the day after my wife was going into labor. And right before she went in, they called me in and fired me. And I had moved there and left everything, and I was devastated. And then I started taking jobs just to get the next job. And I lost a year and a half of my life. So that's the problem, though. People are just backed up. And I think it's, if we hit a recession, Kimberly has a good point. They're going to start laying off people. I think with energy, he's just playing out to the independents, the oils. I don't know why I've been getting on my Facebook all the Dallas reruns. I think there's an anniversary of Dallas. So J.R. Ewing still, and I'm seeing similarities between Donald Trump and J.R. Ewing because, J.R. did so many terrible things on Dallas, but people always forgave him, right? And Trump's the same way. But anyway, I mean, we'll see where this thing plays out. I mean, it's I think it's short-term good for the Democrats. The question is, how do they focus in to change the White House in 28?
We'll see what it goes on in that. I think Sasha had a comment first. Everything. And
Sasha, go first. Yeah, sorry.
Well, first of all, remember what's the difference between recession and depression? Differences in recession is when your neighbor is out of job, and depression is when you are out of job. So right now we are on the brink of recession. It's definitely coming in the stock market action. And by the way, if you're talking about oil, I don't want to rain on your parade, but oil is definitely moving lower and much lower. On charts, if you look at the oil charts, it shows the all the way down to $50 in sort of intermediate future. And if you're looking at a distant goal within a year, maybe 2 years, it's $35 per barrel. And therefore, I'm very skeptical on oil prospects and new investments coming into oil. Listen, people who are making these investments, hopefully they understand what they're doing. But if oil is going down all the way, not even $35 a barrel, but even to $50 a barrel, that a lot of oil operations will become unsustainable. It's a very different picture, though, is in gold and silver. Gold and silver is where the money from stocks are coming. You see, when money coming out of stocks, they have to find a place. I'm not talking about the money coming out of stocks as a forced selling through margin calls and all that stuff from small investors. They are bleeding, and they will have to start selling their furniture and so on. I'm not talking about this money. I'm talking about money of institutional investors. They are moving and didn't start today or yesterday. It's now going now for a few weeks, I think, since Trump became president. Smart money, moving away from stocks into gold and silver, simply because there is no other place where you can move your money to. So therefore, some people believe that Bitcoin could be another place which could be compatible to gold, and instead of putting money into gold, why don't we put money into Bitcoin? The Bitcoin is a very different story. Bitcoin actually is tied up to market, specifically high tech, Nasdaq. And when this market is going down, Bitcoin is crushed. Right now is fighting on a support line around 83,000 or so. The real support, short-term support, 73 to 75,000. And if it will break that, the next support level, there is no support level.
No.
Think about it, $20,000. That's probably is support, and even that is not guaranteed. But 73, 75, that's a line in the sand for Bitcoin. If it will break through that, there is no support level anymore.
Well, I don't know if you heard. Well, I didn't know if Sasha was on when I talked about the big push this year, the big item that everyone is investing in to produce is copper, and Canada is way ahead of the curve in copper. Everyone else is running to catch up with them, but it's to provide Elon with the copper. He needs lithium and copper. And so Canada is way ahead of the curve. One of the things I liked about Canada when I was here is, while I'm still here too, I'm going to go everywhere I go, they're here. But is I'm going to go listen to some more things of what they're doing. But they're 100% investing. They're so focused. They're not flip-flopping, doing this, doing that. They know what they're going to do. They know how they're going to counter anything. They know how to deal with. They're prepared. If something happens, they know how to spin it. But they're 100% focused on investments. They've put up lots and lots of investments for their people. They're investing in their people, their resources. And it's just a powerful message. And they're not the only country. Kuwait is doing this. All of the countries, they're all focused on becoming, I guess, more sustainable and independent, but Canada is already there. They don't need anyone. In fact, majority of the timber we get is from Canada. Yeah. So, I've learned so much this year compared to the other years. Everyone is like they're on high alert to get the information out there, and it's really exciting.
Actually, when you mention timber, I will tell you that beside gold and silver, a lot of commodities will do very well, and copper included. Of course, it will do well.
It's big. Every country is investing big time in copper mining this year. Everyone is. It's huge.
But I'm surprised when you're saying that Elon Musk needs copper for his cars.
So not just his cars, one of the other things that I've learned here, which I'm going to go sit in on some more meetings, is the next gen AI technology is going to require a ton of copper. That's probably why Trump stopped penny pressing, just to save the little bit of copper that we do use there. But the new next gen technology that's being invested in here by oil and gas, and it's huge, requires a ton of copper, and Rex and I are going to go sit on some of that. And there's just AI in general will require it, and then there's some other technology. So copper is becoming the up and coming desired mineral, above and beyond, actually more so than lithium. So but Canada is, to me, ahead in the market based on some of the conversations I have in other countries. Like I'm visiting other countries, or going in and sitting on their one-on-ones. And it's big. I couldn't believe that. And just pumping gas, like I said, Morocco, Kuwait has really gained a lot of traction. Japan is very stable and sturdy in what they're doing. I need to go sit in on some of theirs. But they're pretty stable, and what they're doing in China, of course, is invested in lithium and copper, but they do it through hidden companies into other people's countries. And Rex and I kind of uncovered China is invested in a Canadian corporation doing lithium right now. So we did uncover that. But it's, everyone is in the lithium market. It's the copper market that's new and up and coming, and not a lot of people are invested yet. But Canada, you guys have got it. You guys don't have anything to worry about. I am impressed.
Jacoby had a question.
Hold it. In energy independence, the U.S. has been energy independent, has been a net exporter of energy since 2019. U.S. energy imports have been declining since 2007. And so the idea that we need to become energy independent is BS. We sell some energy to other countries, we import some, but overall we are exporting more than we import. And we set oil production records in 2022, 2023, and last year.
True, but the thing is that they keep saying we don't have enough, and that's not true. We have more than enough. So but David even said we need to become more independent. I don't know what more we need, but he's about to get his wish because nobody wants to partner with us. So or they do, but it's just not going to happen. Not with the terms that are being handed out, and not just Canada. It's not just Canada, I promise you.
It's not just Canada.
There's other countries here. So
I have an answer. You have to get independent from Elon Musk, and it would solve a lot of problems.
Well, if it weren't for Elon Musk, Canada has been sending all of their copper over here for his manufacturing. So Elon Musk actually is the one who kicked that off. But then while I was here, I realized majority of the next generation technology is going to require a boatload, a country load of copper. It's just big. So
no doubt. Jacoby, you had something you wanted to add?
So we touched on a few things. Jobs. I'll try and go through all of them real quick. But jobs, we started out with talking a little bit about that. The problem that we end up talking about with jobs, and the reason that we need to change the way we talk about jobs, is because we always say federal jobs. And Trump, the Republican Party, and everything else have already demonized federal jobs as other. But people don't realize that it's not just federal jobs being lost. There are jobs that from hospitals that are not receiving grants are having to lay people off. There are teachers. We're already at a teacher shortage. So now we can't hire teachers because who deals with teachers? The Department of Education. It's not about the Department of Education actually coming down and indoctrinating people, which is what they led in with. It's actually the funding of special needs individuals that that the Department of Education deals with. All this stuff is what is the big problem, because jobs across the board, people are afraid of spending. So now you're having people cut back on spending, which in turn deals with Sasha's expertise, where that tumbles the market, because people who invest realize that people aren't spending money. So why am I going to invest my money? So now all the cutbacks are rolling back. So
I will say this: now's the time to buy. Buy.
Well,
buy right now. Just throw all your money into it because it will bounce back.
Let me suggest something. Market looks like oversold. I agree with you on that. What you mean. But it can be even more oversold a week from now, and even more oversold a month from now. Right now, the market is at a critical juncture. Like yesterday, it survived. It closed a little bit higher, although even today it's still quite shaky. In my portfolio, gold is moving higher, silver is moving higher. Technical stocks they're still hanging in, but no more than that. But let me tell you something interesting. I published today. It's from Facebook, one of my fans. Sleepy Joe oversaw the biggest stock gains in US history. 9 straight quarters of GDP growth, 12 straight months of inflation decline. And the greatest businessman ever crushed it all in 45 days.
Thank
And
you.
I had a reply from his economist, quite well known here in Canada. He replied to me, if Trump is able to reduce the US budget deficit, he's pro-Trump, by the way, and additionally reduce the commercial balance of payments deficit, this will have a strong slowdown effect on the world economy. Biden's record spending deficits have been a huge monetary boost to the US and the world, large creation of money. It will be interesting to see if Trump can manage it and the consequent impact on world economies. If he is unsuccessful, the US will, and many other countries are facing unsustainable deficits and will soon hit the wall. That's where we are now.
So,
And again, based on my experience with corporate layoffs and how they tried to regulate them so it wouldn't impact the economy so bad, I just want everyone to do the math. Okay, when will the ripple effect impact you? Because we're not firing just a few thousand people at a time. We're doing millions. And when they're not spending money, like, Jacoby was saying as well, again, if they're not spending money, then that's going to stop at the restaurants. That's going to stop at the pharmacies. Everything's going to stop. People are going to stop. And no more stimulating the economy is going to end, because millions of jobs is different than a couple of thousand. And you're doing middle class jobs. They're not low income jobs. They're middle class. So the impact is even harder on both ends, because the middle class support low income and they support high income. And don't forget that when you stretch the middle class too thin, you're going to break the economy.
What I'm saying is the ripple effect is happening now. And
it's already there, yeah.
That. We are in the middle of it because the jobs that are lost, for example, some federal jobs. But again, that ripple, we have hospital jobs, we have nursing home jobs, we have other jobs that are out there that are being lost. That because, for example, you have companies that are receiving federal grants and living and working off of that. They're already laying people off because they're not getting those grants.
Federal grants, you can find a lot of those
jobs.
in Canada.
They are actual a lot of grants. Nonprofit organizations are having to let people off. So that's not federal. That's actually a job that somebody has. So we have to stop saying federal jobs. We have to point out that we are losing jobs now because of him. And
I also want to say
that came out only went up to February 15th. That wasn't the full month of February. So the next jobs report that comes out is going to have a ton of jobs lost.
Well, NOAA lost. They cut NOAA. They cut today. They're talking about cutting HUD, the housing assistance. Now, when you start cutting assistance as well as all the jobs, I will say this, because of HUD and the housing assistant program, I personally know a lot of people who benefited from that, and it gave them a leg up and then got them back into life again. Several were widows who were single moms that didn't have a career at the time, but HUD was always there to help these people get a leg up, and they didn't have to succumb to a minimum wage job and scrap and everything. They were able to get into better housing. They were able to get into a job and better careers. So when you take away the assistant programs along with cutting millions of jobs that impact other millions of jobs, you're creating a society that's going to rely on a dictatorship providing you mining jobs, pumping oil and gas. You're going to be, growing your own foods, harvesting the foods, and it will become a society of wealthy and poverty. And there will be that gap is going to be bigger than what my arms can do. So just saying. Because you've taken away the assistance. Yes, sir.
right before I joined your program, Mark, I was listening to CNBC. There was interview of a young girl. Her name is Sarah. I forgot last name. She's a regular on CNBC. She was interviewing the Secretary of Commerce. What's his title? Besant.
That's it.
That was a very sorrow experience because that girl understand economics much better than Secretary Besant. And when she asked him about
That's
that
funny.
doesn't look pretty, the stock market is going down, of course, and there is a scare of people losing their jobs, and even Walmart, where people, when there is a dire straits and they're going shopping at Walmart now makes their prediction that their next quarter will be way below usual numbers.
Well, who's shopping there now? Nobody.
People
Nobody's shopping. The food's not there. The food's not being shipped there. It's not affordable.
If you
Yeah.
cannot buy food at Walmart, it means you cannot buy it anywhere.
Exactly.
So the Walmart is the last resort where people are going to shop. So you know what his reply was? That we are not looking at the next quarter or even next year. We are building a new economy where everybody will benefit in 3-4 years' time. So don't worry about today. Just take it as it is. This is a horrible reply because it tells people just to sell everything. Kim, you can do whatever you want, but they take
Actually, I was sitting in a meeting for finance type stuff, and the message was sell everything you have and put it away. Don't even put it in the banks because the banks are going to tank because everyone's going to panic and they're going to over withdraw and the banks can't handle that. So they're telling everyone to over withdraw. They're causing the panic. That's what I told them. I said, your advice is causing the panic. But they're telling everyone, take the money out, put it in a safe at home or in your mattress or whatever. But that's causing a run on banks and that's causing a panic in itself. And I told them that. I said, you're not helping. But this is the message that the lower income people are getting, or not, middle, low income. And this is the message that's being spread. But you put a run on the banks, these banks can't handle it because they don't have enough money. We've seen this before.
Well, they've taken away all the
earlier to buy. So how that reflects with the idea of
well, I mean, I'm saying buy because now's the time because everything's low, everything's crashing. And I talked to my advisor and I said buy.
Even lower. What makes you
Basically.
think that it will not go even lower, or in fact much lower? I remember a friend of mine when it was the time of Nortel, maybe you remember, when stock was $120 and went down very quickly to $60. So he said, "Oh, I'm going to put mortgage on my house and buy."
Oh no, Nortel was dangerous. I could have told you that. I worked for them. Very dangerous.
Nortel was an angel because there was no Trump. Today, the situation is much worse than it
It's dumb. Well, they closed up all of their facilities. They ended up building the worst equipment in the world. I know because I watched them start cutting corners. After that, they laid me. I was in the layoff, the first one, thank God, because I got a huge package. They sent me to classes where I learned all about how this economic impact happens, and then I became a consultant for layoffs as well as I went to a better engineering job at Fujitsu, who built the best equipment in the world. So I just, want to say, you can invest wrong because when the stock is dropping in a company, but, trust your advisor to kind of look at these things, do your homework. But right now, like IBM is still a strong, sturdy species in the industry, as I call them. They just introduced 7 more of their quantum computers into the world. I feel like they're giving birth to quantum computers at a high rate now. And so IBM wouldn't be a bad one. In fact, my stock with IBM has been going up while everything else is going down. So, there's the trampoline's not going to happen for a while. because until Trump gets his act together and stops flip-flopping and doing strong arm negotiations with trade wars, our market's going to continue going down. And by the way, you know, everyone is dropping out of Tesla saying, oh, it's a bad deal. And the stock has really dropped, including, you know, their board members are leaving him. And they know him, and that's why they're leaving him. But with all the copper that's being mined to send to his factories and all the investment going into Tesla, I don't see that being a bad investment if Trump remains our leader. I really don't. I see that being a very powerful investment.
Trump's net approval is now underwater. So if he keeps losing approval, he could lose political support. That the government is about to run out of money, as we periodically are threatened with.
I know they just asked for $1 trillion to get them, or $1.5 trillion, right?
Yeah, and the Democrats aren't going to play
Yeah,
ball.
the Democrats aren't going to go for that. Hey, Rick and Kim, just really quickly along those same lines, because you're talking about, I think Sasha was about the Commerce Secretary and everything, but there was a similar thing with the press secretary, who apparently does not understand the notions of tariffs and who tariffs impact and everything. And she got quite upset at the AP reporter who actually said that he had paid tariffs on various goods and everything. And she was trying to use the old-fashioned explanation that it doesn't really impact the consumers, even though we know that that's a lie and everything along those lines.
Yeah, we pay at the end of the day. Trump's not going to pay for it. Doesn't come out of his pocket. He's not going to feel it. We, as a high volume of people in the consumer sector, it is taxed. It will be taxed on to us.
Yeah, Jacoby, and then Sasha.
Okay. So yes, tariffs, we pay the tariffs. It's idiotic to think any other way. She did not know, because she probably did know, but she has to lie to make people feel better. That is her job. That's the only reason she's there. So everything she says coming out of her mouth, it's a lie. It's the same thing as the first administration. That's why she's ridiculous, and you never should listen to her. Number two, in terms of the Tesla stuff, Tesla's definitely going to go down. Tesla's steadily going to go down. The copper and everything else isn't about what really Elon Musk wants. Yes, the big thing is energy. That's where everybody's going to invest. Yes, copper, nickel, chromium, lithium. That's the big thing right now, because the next thing is AI. Tesla is not a leader in AI. Elon Musk nixed that when they wanted to become a leader in AI. Elon Musk nixed that. Honestly, Elon Musk is not going to hurt with Tesla stock going down. Why? Because Elon Musk isn't even focused on Tesla. Elon Musk is focused on Starlink. Hence the reason why he sat down with the head of India, Modi, because he wanted that deal in India with Starlink. This is what he's trying to push across the globe. Starlink. Who controls information? The flow of information controls the globe. Who's trying to control the flow of information? Elon Musk. And when we talk about his Tesla stock, that's a distraction, because he is not even focused on his Tesla stock. He's not focused on the battery consumptions and everything else. Honestly, again, if we're talking about AI and everything else, that has nothing to do with Tesla. That's all to do with Microsoft, NVIDIA, Apple, Google, and all the big players that are investing into nuclear because nuclear fusion, hence the reason why Canada is actually pushing the whole nickel, because copper, actually nickel as well, but copper is huge for nuclear. And that's where the industry is going right now, because Canada is actually in the forefront of that. China is actually there as well. This is why, again, when you're there, that's what the big thing is, because nuclear fusion is right around the corner. Rick, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well,
China's up
has been right around the corner for decades, but there have been some breakthroughs lately, but it takes just a ton of tech. Like, in Back to the Future, the car was powered by nuclear fusion, but you're not going to fit it in a car. You need a giant ass building and a ton of computing to keep the energy You're trying to create conditions as they are in the center of the sun. And that's freaking crazy difficult to do on Earth. And it takes, billions of dollars of tech to so it's still going to be a while before it is cost effective.
And if I remember, China is now up to, is it 17 minutes or 20 minutes? Because if you look at the actual nuclear fusion that comes off of it, that is literally unlimited energy. And again, AI takes a ton of energy. It takes a ton of energy and a ton of water. That's why copper is necessary and everything else. So you're going to need all that stuff in that AI push, and that is what the future is around AI.
Well, that puts Canada in a good position, because Canada has the whole Great White North, which is all empty land and water. And if you want to build a bunch of reactors, maybe you do it up near Yellowknife or somewhere, in the Yukon or some, and just pipe it down, or, put your servers up there too. So, look to Canada.
Yeah. And again, that's why they are leading, right? Them and China are leading in nuclear fusion technology. And
fission, just plain old reactors.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about nuclear fusion, because Canada.
But fusion takes, if you want to put up a fusion plant, that's going to run you $1 billion a plant, right?
Oh, yeah,
but fission, you can put up a fission plant for like 50 million, and you can start pumping out energy, reasonably quickly.
Mm-hmm. But fission has a limit to it. Fusion right now does not have a limit to it. And this is why both Canada and China are leading the way on trying to figure out that technology. Hence the reason why there's that giant X in China, from what I understand. That is the big fusion center that they have created, to which I think some drone had caught a picture of it. But that is the future of energy. That is why people are.
So you are right. You see, Trump is right that he's putting tariffs both on Canada and China, because there are two enemies of the United States, and you have to put tariffs and more tariffs.
So I want to share something with you guys, because while here, a lot of times you get to pick up on history, right? And somebody left a magazine from the 2019 time frame, and in here is an article about Ryan Zink. If you remember who he was a former Navy SEAL, U.S. Navy SEAL, who served as the Secretary of Interior from 2017 and 18 with Trump. And he left office. After all these years of service, he has fought every terrorist in the world, angry people, hate. And he had to leave. And they asked him, why do you look so happy now? And this is his reply. He says, I'm outstanding and free from the chains of the office in DC. And then he continued to explain, what an angry, hate-filled city, he said. I have never seen anything like it in my lifetime. I tried to do the right things, listen to everybody, but the hatred of this president is driving everything there. And that was.
Are you guys having problems over in the United States? Wait a minute. I'm listening to all your stuff. It sounds to me that you Canadians are fighting the Americans. The Americans are all fighting each other. In Europe, I hate to tell you, I just bought a house.
We're sitting ducks. We're the Alamo. Mexico hates us. Canada hates us. We're the Alamo.
Hold on a second.
I'd be concerned.
Nick, I would be concerned because he actually just threatened tariffs on your neck of the woods, because one of the things he did was he accused Ireland, which is not that far from Spain, of taking U.S. companies via taxation during an hour-long meeting with the Irish leader.
Get a sentence out.
Trump said that Ireland took pharmaceutical and other companies away through taxations, and said the United States would take back what was stolen from it, according to the Irish Examiner. So he is targeting European countries as well, including, I think he's coming after Spain after as well. So he's definitely going after that, because Trump called prior U.S. leaders stupid for allowing multinational corporations to relocate to Ireland, though he said he respects Ireland's corporate taxation laws. So he's saying that those laws heavily favored establishing and operating corporations in Ireland, which is considered a tax haven for most of all corporations.
I've discussed that before. It's the double Dutch Irish sandwich, where even Google, Microsoft, all those wonderful companies that you guys like went and established their headquarters in Ireland. And then Google even sold their search engine to their Irish subsidiary. And then they leased it back so they don't have to pay taxes. Facebook did the same thing. So did Microsoft, all those wonderful companies. And it shows that the average billionaire, which you guys support, their tax rate is about 8%, 6 to 8% per year.
So wait, you bought a house on the beach for how much?
It was about probably all in about 417,000 euros, something like that.
Well,
It's
you
not
know, all
directly
of
on the
these,
beach. It's in the beachfront community, but you can't really get anything on the beach. I'm about 10 minutes.
so 45% of the oil and gas companies can't find enough employees to pump all the oil and gas we probably need. That's been the big problem, and Trump took care of that. And you know what, guys, there are millions of jobs waiting for you.
They're all
And the
fired.
copper mines, there are millions of jobs waiting for you.
Yeah, they can work in the oil and gas industry. The incompetent people.
No,
in
but do you know
Washington-
what it's like to work on a rig, being one of the guys?
Yeah,
that,
because
it's very dangerous.
They actually have to
Very
work for the
scary.
first time. in
Because
their
I've
life.
been there.
That sounds like
I
being a
have been
canary
there.
in the coal mine, and I'm not trying
Very
to be a canary
scary.
in the coal mine.
The government
Mines
employees
are
like
very-
I hear what you're
work
saying,
for
but I'm
the
not
first
trying to
time
be
in
a
their
canary
life.
in the coal mine.
Especially with leaders that cut corners for their own pocketbook. It's very dangerous. And you know what? I was told at the oil companies when we were working on safety and security for them, they said that it's cheaper, that this is their attorney, it's cheaper for us to write $1 million check for each person that dies rather than go to court. And it's cheaper than to install the safety and security measures that you're introducing to us.
Hey,
They would
really
just
quickly,
rather
Ken and
write
Nick,
$1
this is for
million
both of you.
check
Hold on a
for
second.
every
This is for both of you and everybody on the
Just
panel. I know
saying.
we've only got a
That's
few
the way
minutes
they
to go
think.
and everything. So this is for everybody. Apparently, recently, Trump claimed, and I know Sasha's going to love this. He might even laugh when I bring it up. But apparently, Trump claimed recently that he has been the most consequential president of our times. So what is our thoughts around this? This is a claim that he has put out
Consequential. What does
himself
that
and
mean?
everything.
Wait, I'm going to help Mark out here. There's a TV show called Truth or Consequences, and he wasn't truth, so he's definitely the most consequential. I agree.
He is the most consequential.
Truth or
Doesn't mean it's
consequences.
good. That consequence, accomplishments doesn't mean it's good. It doesn't. It just means you accomplished something. Doesn't mean it's good.
When your country falls into the ocean, I'll go back and buy the rest of it that's left over. Yeah, Rick, you got something.
Oh, well, I have
You know, the stock market accomplished a lot this week. They dropped
presidential
tremendously.
historians who actually know the history have repeatedly voted Trump during his first administration as the worst president in history. And I think he's doing worse this time around. I want to go. Ryan Zink is this jackass who showed up to work during the first Trump administration for his first day on the job in DC. He showed up on a horse because he's a freaking showboating a-hole. He ended up, he hates DC because he ended up being under 18 separate ethics investigations because he's an unethical guy. And now I think he's a congressman from Montana.
That's perfect. He's moving up in the world. Well, you know, it's very sad to watch the collapse of the American empire.
During the Biden industry, when I got to attend the oil and gas industry conference as well, the innovations were growing and paced very fast, but also well, so that if they were very successful. So things didn't slow down under Biden. I want to promise you that I'm reading old interviews, old articles. Things were more than growing. In fact, this conference during Biden more than quadrupled in time, and oil and gas and industry is spending millions and millions and billions of dollars here this week, which, you know, during Biden, they were able to acquire all of that.
Where was
So
the
it's a growing-
messaging? Where was the messaging under Biden? They're doing all this stuff.
There's not.
And, you know, we're bombarded with Trump messaging and Musk messaging and
Yeah,
stories.
well, you know, the Democratic Party prevented.
It was there. It was just not in the Joe Puhal magazines. It was in the business magazines. It wasn't in the low income.
Speaking
So
of Joe
the
Puhal
reason-
magazines and everything like that, because we only got a few minutes. Apparently, one of
Yeah,
Toby's
yeah.
favorite buddies, Ted Cruz, actually took to Twitter, or X as it's now called, to ask his users what they would say to Elon Musk, and a lot of them were heaping praise on Elon Musk and all along those lines. But he took to his 6.9 million or something followers, and some folks did ask him some harsh questions like where did his morals go and why he hasn't scrutinized his government contracts and everything. But there was a lot of folks, including saying that they would enjoy the beer with him, because apparently the question that Ted Cruz asked and everything was this notion of what they would, if you were having a beer with Elon Musk and you could ask him anything.
Mark, you don't need to read no more. I don't care about Ted Cruz.
What questions would you ask him if you could ask him?
I wouldn't ask him Mark. I wouldn't ask him anything. I don't care about Elon Musk. The dude is he's supporting the AFD and neo-Nazis and stuff like that. I don't care about Elon Musk. The big question was with what Rick said, because Rick pointed out where was the messaging. And that is the problem that puts us where we are.
It was in business, it was in business and industry.
The messaging,
it wasn't itself, to the Joe Puhal.
The messaging itself is why we're here, because Donald Trump understood that his people didn't care what he said as long as he just talked, and they could see him. It's the whole idea of
I'm going to buy ice cream for the world.
And it's the notion of being able to touch your idol, and he's close to me and I can see him on TV all the time answering these questions.
We have to un-idol.
This is why they run to the notion that, hey, he is the most transparent because he gives all these interviews. No, he's not. He's sitting here gaslighting you. It's easier to gaslight people when you're in front of their faces 24/7. And that's why he's on TV every single day, because he's lying and gaslighting. And this is where, Rick, you are spot on. We need messaging. We don't
have any messages, but that kind of came back to what I said about Ted Cruz. Even Robert Kennedy asked the question as to why Ted Cruz was doing quote unquote engagement farming.
You're doing the same thing,
term that is used in social media. So why didn't we do enough engagement farming? Is the question I'm asking. That's what they literally did.
But that's the point, Mark. Is what I'm saying is that's the point. You asking the question about Ted Cruz, who cares about who's sitting with Ted Cruz and Elon Musk? That's just putting them out there in front of them. The big thing is let's talk about what we were talking about earlier. Hey, these are the energy problems. The fact that Donald Trump right now is literally using an old law to strip away the First Amendment rights and deport an actual individual, that is freaky. And those are things that we need to actually, hey, every single day, hit him with how ridiculous it is that he's taking away, that Donald Trump is taking the rights away from an actual protest, a protester that he disagrees with. So how many people in Black Lives Matter are now going to get deported because he didn't like the Black Lives Matter protests? How many people is he going to now go after in terms of, hey, I don't like what you said about, he's already talking about making those individuals who protested Tesla domestic terrorists.
Yeah.
Right. He's not going to deport them out of the country. The only place he's going to send them to the new mines that we're going to start in all the national parks that we just closed down. You're going to start seeing mining because they're rich, very, very rich in minerals. And so he's going to send all of these people to the mines to work the mines for Elon so that Elon can grow all the things that he wants to grow in his companies. And it's going to be copper, lithium. We are rich in lithium. A lot of people don't know that. We actually have several lithium mines in North Carolina that weren't supposed to be mining, but they were. So.
Kim, I'd like to mention that when they will send them to work on these mines, they obviously have to stay somewhere, right? So you might as well put a little concentration camps where these people.
That's what they're gonna do. Yeah, they're gonna because Elon has designed those pop-up homes.
It's called Rikers.
Well, he didn't design them; he acquired them. So the pop-up homes for
And to save
$10,000, they're going to use those.
Exactly. And
An
to
RV
save
is better.
money, you don't pay them. So it will be kind of a forced labor, but it doesn't matter as long as these people are in concentration camps
Yeah,
and
this,
working 10, 12 hours a day. That's okay. It brings them some food, some, I don't know,
I mean,
leftover.
just take a look at what's going on in the trend and do the math. Just pull it together, do the math.
One last thing before we go. We have one 2028 Democratic presidential candidate who understands messaging. Governor of California, Gavin Newsom, is moving conservative. He's come out against trans athletes in sports. He's got a podcast now where he's sat down with Charlie Kirk. A couple of years ago, he sat down with Hannity. He most recently sat down with Steve Bannon. So we've got one guy who understands the game.
Well, on top of that,
So all the fear about trans, what impact have they had on the economy? And what impact have they had on your personal life? None. They haven't hurt anyone. They haven't hurt the economy. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So what needs to happen, though, is there needs to be some form of unified message. Because if you look at every single Republican who comes on every show, they say the same exact thing. They give the same defense to Trump. They give the same defense to Elon. Everything is the same. It's a unified message that they have. So, yeah, they need to figure out some type of unified message that's easy to put out there and ride with it and pop up on everything you can. Every Democrat should be out there on every channel, just talking. Just be there.
As we get to get out of here, Utopia.
Well, they're too busy working.
Because I know we're going to get out because it was the top of the hour. But I will just let Utopia know this because it was a funny remark that I heard and everything because they were talking about actually the press secretary and I think the one that Sasha mentioned as well and everything because they're talking about that bubble that Trump has and everything, and they were saying that it could be sunshine outside, but they would tell you that it was raining and that they would go with the umbrellas and all along those lines. So on that note, we're going to get on out of here, but they were saying that too many of the people in the administration have this notion that it could be as sunny as all get out, but they're still going to be coming out with their umbrellas because they were told it was raining outside. And on that note, we're out of here.